She thought she was about to die. At that moment, she remembered. She had seen this scene before. Someone screamed her name. Laura. That was her name. But it was also the name of a character from the RPG she had played in her past life, the failed heroine. She knew she wouldn't die here. So she calmed herself, stood up, and introduced herself. Laura Ampier, 8 years old. Of course, her body was 8, but her mind was over 20. She had just regained her past life's memories. In that life, she had been an ordinary student in Japan until a tragic accident cut it short. During that short life, she had met a girl named Laura, but only through a TV screen. Laura was a character in the RPG Last Brave. It was the usual kind of RPG. The hero, Lucas, awakens his power and defeats the Demon King. Though some people criticized it, she found it exciting. The game had thrilling twists, easy-to-learn mechanics, great characters, and unforgettable music. She thought it was a masterpiece. The characters were all memorable. The main hero who kept growing, even through struggles. The best friend he met on his journey, the wise man who guided him, the genius young girl with huge magic power, the treasure hunter who brought laughter to the group, and finally, the mysterious girl of ancient bloodline who became the true heroine. But among the players, one character stood out, not for praise, but for pity. That character was Laura Eyre, the same as her now. Laura was the hero's childhood friend from M Village. She was the typical childhood friend character who cheered him on as he left for his journey. The night before, she even confessed her love, not expecting an answer. But the real heroine was the ancient bloodline girl. She was kidnapped, brainwashed, and saved by the hero. Their bond became the light that saved the world. Meanwhile, Laura was left behind. Players pitied her, calling her the failed heroine. Even so, Laura believed the hero's powers first awakened because he wanted to protect her. Wasn't she important too? When she opened her eyes, she saw Lucas above her, his face full of worry. Tears fell as he said how glad he was that she was alive. She thought it was a little pathetic for the future hero to cry so easily. But then again, his childhood friend had nearly been killed by a monster. This was Lucas, her childhood friend since birth, and the boy who would become the future hero. She realized this was the moment from the game, the scene where Lucas awakened his hero power to protect her. Lucas asked if she was in pain, but she reassured him she was fine. He leaned close, murmuring, "Really?" His left eye glowed with a golden crest, the proof of a hero awakened to protect her. Just then, a woman burst into the room crying out that Laura was awake. She rushed off to call the doctor. Lucas went to fetch water, leaving Laura alone for a moment. In the game, this was a key event. Back then, she had thought Lucas awakened his power to protect the heroine, not her. But now she knew it was her who triggered it. She didn't know why she was reincarnated into this game world, but she did know one thing. She would not repeat the same fate. If she avoided falling in love with Lucas, she could escape the failed heroine. She decided to leave the village, go to the capital, study, and find work. That way, she could follow the story from afar without being trapped in it. Lucas soon returned with a glass of water. She smiled and thanked him. No matter what, he was still her childhood friend, and that was real. The village boys often teased Lucas, but she knew he was kind and always thought of others first. Looking at his young face, she realized he would grow into a handsome man by the time of his journey. He gently held her hand and said he would protect her. He gave her a soft smile, and her heart raced. She realized that heartbeat belonged to Laura. If she hadn't regained her past life's memories, she probably would have fallen in love with him here. But she refused to chase a love doomed to fail. She would change her fate. She would no longer be the hero's forgotten childhood friend. She would not become the failed heroine. It had been a few days since she regained her past life's memories. Everyone kept her in her room, and that only made her feel worse. Still, staying in bed gave her time to organize her thoughts. She began thinking about this world. It was made up of many kingdoms ruled by kings. Her home, Amur Village, was in Austria, the main setting of Last Brave. Magic existed here, but not everyone could use it. Some people relied only on physical strength, since she was just a side character, the failed heroine. It wasn't surprising she didn't have magic talent. She thought about explaining Last Brave's main plot, but stopped. Just remembering it made her feel depressed. Instead, she decided she needed fresh air. Looking at her reflection, she realized she was actually quite pretty. Maybe it was because she was the hero's childhood friend. Her design was more detailed than other NPCs. She shook off thoughts of the future. Her life started now. Her mom came in and asked if she felt better. She replied that staying in bed so long had only made her body sore. Her dad told her to eat breakfast before going out. But her real goal was clear. She needed distance from Lucas, the future hero. For the past 8 years, they had been inseparable. Everyone teased them, saying, He's always with Laura, and hinted they'd marry one day. If she hadn't regained her memories, that would have been her fate. Now, she needed to change their relationship before Lucas left on his journey. Just then, Lucas arrived, greeting her parents warmly. Her mom apologized for troubling him, but he said it was no trouble. He was worried about Laura. Her dad added that their daughter was lucky to have him. She greeted him stiffly and asked if he was joining her walk. He said yes. Quickly, she added that he didn't need to worry. He gave her a concerned look, and she wished he wouldn't. Her dad reminded her that Lucas only cared about her. Lucas then said he had decided to protect her. The room grew tense. She argued that monsters never came into the village, but Lucas replied firmly that there was no guarantee today would be the same. As expected of the future hero, he was sharp. She knew he was right. Once the Demon King revived, monsters would grow violent and attack even villages. She tried again, saying she was fine now, but Lucas refused. His determined gaze reminded her of the brave hero he would one day become. Even now, his quiet resolve left a strong impression. He asked why she seemed strange today. She quickly denied it. In truth, Lucas was more perceptive than he looked, though she still acted like the old Laura. Inside, she was over 20 years old. Of course, he would notice something felt different. Her parents told her not to give Lucas such a hard time. They wanted him around, even dropping hints about marriage. In this small village, men were expected to protect and women to marry and raise children. Her parents only wanted her settled and happy. Just then, another girl appeared in the doorway. Her mother greeted her. It was Petra Ammer, the village chief's daughter. In Last Brave, she was just a side character with no real role. But to Laura right now, she was a blessing. Petra asked if it wasn't too soon for Laura to be out of bed. Overjoyed, Laura grabbed her hands and apologized for worrying her. They were close enough that this greeting felt natural. Laura realized this was her chance to create some space from Lucas. She asked Petra if she had come to visit her. Petra explained her father had asked her to check in. Laura thought she must thank the village chief later. Laura then asked her mom if there were sandwiches left. Saying she would take some to the chief, she rushed to fetch them. Returning quickly, she turned to Lucas, apologized for troubling him, and said they could walk another time. Then, she left with Petra, leaving Lucas behind. Petra led her inside the house. As they walked through the halls, Laura thought back. If she remembered right, there was something in that closet. Or was it in Mokai? If you examined the vase 3 times, healing medicine should appear. This was her first time walking through the village since regaining her memories, and everything felt strangely nostalgic. Just then, she ran into Julia, who stopped in surprise asking what she was doing out. Laura blurted out, just as surprised, that Julia was here too. Julia asked if she was really well enough to be up already. Julia was a couple of years older than her and Petra. Of course, Laura's mental age was the oldest of all. She wondered if Julia had planned to meet Petra. Soon, Radma also stepped out. There were only 3 girls her age in the village, and now all of them were here, which made Laura the outsider. She wondered, if she hadn't been attacked by that monster the other day, would they have invited her? The answer was clear. No, she had basically forced her way into Petra's house today. Their relationships had always been shallow. She collapsed dramatically to the floor, the shock hitting harder than she expected. But then she shook her head. No, this was good. At least now she saw the truth. From here on, she just needed to get along with them properly. The Laura from the game never noticed, and players pitied her, but she refused to follow that same path. Smiling, she asked, "Is it okay if I join too?" Petra hesitated before asking, "What about Lucas?" Her smile froze. So they really did see her as always tied to Lucas. She couldn't let things continue like that. She was already 8 years old. Lucas would leave the village at 16. She had only 8 years left. She needed to leave soon, or she'd always be stuck as the Brave's childhood friend. Petra's voice brought her back. "Are you okay?" "Yeah," Laura said quickly. She reminded herself of her 2 main goals. Put distance between her and Lucas without raising suspicion. Find a vocation and leave this village. She was determined to change her future and take happiness into her own hands, even if people forgot about her. Meanwhile, an old alchemist woman was busy brewing a special potion. In Last Brave, players knew her as Alchemist Granny. She could mix herbs into potions, but the game revealed little else about her. Only 2 things were known. She was once a famous royal alchemist, and now she lived in a forest near a village rich in herbs. Laura stood before the old woman's house, remembering this. She had thought a lot about her future. Her family couldn't afford to send her to school. At best, she could learn to sell or appraise goods in the market, but that wouldn't be enough to survive in the royal capital. The jobs that paid well were swordsman, magician, or healer. Then she remembered Alchemist Granny. In this world, potions existed. They could heal wounds and, depending on the herbs, had many other effects. Alchemy was a real profession here. The retired alchemist still practiced it as a hobby. In the game, Lucas met her during a mid-story event and received a magic pot from her. You could put herbs in, and Granny would send back finished potions. It was a convenience item so players didn't have to return to Amber Village all the time. Laura nodded to herself. That item had been so useful. When she came back to the village to pick it up, she still thought Laura was the heroine. After that, Laura barely appeared in the game at all. Resolve hardened inside her. She clenched her fists. She would become an alchemist. Once the Demon King returned, demand for potions would explode. It was the perfect job. And even after the war, alchemy would still be needed, like medicine in her old world. Thinking this, she set out for the forest. But of course, Lucas had come along. Her face fell. She had wanted to go alone. A few days earlier, when she was with the other girls, Petra had mentioned how close she and Lucas seemed. Radma had smiled and said that was why she was glad they were friends now. Laura had taken it as progress, part of her plan to escape her role as the hero's childhood friend. But now she saw what they really thought. Even though Lucas had started spending more time with the village boys, people still saw them as special together. She knew that if she told him she was going to the forest, he would tag along. And here he was. She insisted she could go home alone afterward, but Lucas just smiled politely and said he would wait for her. Okay, she mumbled. Lucas felt more like a little brother to her now. She couldn't see herself falling for him anymore, but she still wanted to avoid being stuck with him all the time. It even felt like she was being cruel by pushing him away. Finally, she knocked on the old house's door. It creaked open, revealing the granny. A shiver ran down her spine. The woman had a shadowy, unsettling aura. With sharp eyes, she asked Laura what she wanted. Without hesitation, Laura blurted out, "Please make me your student." The old woman stepped back, opened the door wider and said, "The house is a little rundown, but sit wherever you like." As she steps inside, she looks around. The granny asks if wanting to be her pupil means she wants to become an alchemist. She quickly says yes, and reminds her that she used to be a famous alchemist, so she wants to study under her. It feels a little embarrassing to act like a child who looks up to alchemists when she's actually in her 20s, but no one will know. She doesn't have money, but she offers to clean and gather herbs. Becoming an alchemist seems like the best option right now, even if it takes years to convince the granny. But to her surprise, the woman pulls back her hood, revealing a nanny with a kind, welcoming smile. In the game, she was always covered, so she never knew what she looked like until now. The nanny asks why she wants to be an alchemist. She thinks about telling the truth, that she wants to live comfortably if she ever leaves the village. She knows becoming an alchemist would help, but she can't say that as an 8-year-old. Caught off guard, she instead says she wants to leave the village someday and see the world, and she will need a trade for when that time comes. The nanny smiles and says she is honest. Alchemists never have to worry about going hungry wherever they go. Then Granny adds that if she is fine with it, she can call her master. With a smile, she says she would be happy to have a cute little disciple. Laura, overjoyed, hugs her tightly. She feels thankful for Granny, for the herbs growing near Amber Village, for everything. She never thought Granny would accept such a young pupil, but now she has finally reached the starting line. From here on, her future depends on her own effort. To become independent, she must work hard under Master. Granny gives her a book to study. Laura hugs it, knowing she won't be allowed to touch the alchemy tools yet. First, she must learn about herbs. Memorizing the traits and effects of 1,000 herbs feels overwhelming, but that's why alchemists are respected. Strangely, she doesn't find it unpleasant. In her past life, she wasn't good at studying, but now she finds reading these books fun, even with all the unfamiliar terms. One book says to boil at high heat until the solution changes color, but another says medium heat. Confused, she asks Granny which is right. Granny checks, then looks surprised at how Laura remembered the contradiction. She begins testing her. What are the traits of the LA leaf? Laura answers perfectly. What about shunt fruit? Again, she explains correctly. Then it hits her. The information is just flowing out of her. She only read the books once, but her memory is far beyond normal. Granny notices too and tests her again with a fake herb. Laura admits she doesn't know it, and Granny laughs, because that herb doesn't exist. Realizing this, Granny tests her further. She gives her a page to read and then close. Laura rewrites it word for word, even the punctuation. It becomes clear. Laura has an incredible memory, but only for alchemy. She struggles with magic tomes, which give her headaches, but herbs and recipes stay in her mind perfectly. Granny tells her she might have been born to be an alchemist, and Laura wonders if that's her destiny. Hey guys, sorry for mid-editing, but I noticed a lot of you are watching my videos without subscribing. Our subscribe ratio is literally close to 0. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. It helps a lot. Thanks. Now, back to the recap. Months pass. Laura turns 9, already 6 months into her apprenticeship. While sorting herbs, she notices a mistake Granny missed. Granny praises her sharp eyes, impressed she could spot the difference. Laura knows this talent wasn't part of the game's setting. Maybe it's a hidden story, but she pushes the thought aside. What matters is working hard and believing this path is right. One night, Granny asks her to fetch some herbs but warns her not to go alone. She has already summoned her knight. To Laura's shock, Lucas appears, smiling warmly. Granny apologizes for troubling him, but he says he wanted to see Laura's work. Laura had been keeping some distance from Lucas by focusing on her studies and spending time with Petra and the girls. But moments like this happen. She wonders if Master is enjoying meddling a little too much, and decides she'll need to do something before Granny turns into a full-on matchmaker. Lost in thought, she nearly stumbles, but he catches her with a smile. She takes his hand, thinking how naturally chivalrous he is, just as the future brave should be. His eyes remind her of the last Brave's ending scene. She spots the herb she needs and gathers it, smiling. He asks, "What are these for?" She answers, "They have pain-relieving effects." He picks one too and glances at her, asking if she's having fun. She teases, asking if he means her alchemy studies. She admits it's hard work but says she really is enjoying it. At first, it was just a means to an end, but now she's excited whenever she learns about new herbs or synthesis. It's thanks to her memory, of course. Then he softly confesses something that makes her freeze. She hasn't called him Luca in a long time. He looks at her with a shy, vulnerable expression, saying she's been spending more time with Petra and the other girls, even though he promised to protect her. She quickly explains it's not dangerous, no one's after her, and she hasn't been going anywhere risky. Still, he pouts. Laura never imagined Luca pouting like that. She wonders if she put distance between them too quickly. Smiling, she tells him she's glad he looks out for her and thanks him. His cheeks turn red as he smiles shyly, saying being called Luca by her makes him happy. Her memory sparks. He once told the female lead that Luca was the name used by his parents, his childhood friend, and everyone in the village. Hearing it makes him feel like himself instead of just the brave. Back then, the female lead asked if she could keep calling him that, and he said, "Of course." Now, Laura sees the same joyful expression on his face. Later, Laura visits the town market with Granny, still smiling. It looks so different from Amur Village, yet familiar. It's just like the town she saw in the game. In The Last Brave, this was one of the hero's first towns, where he gained comrades, and also where they returned at the end. She can even recall the background music. Granny warns her not to run. Almost a year has passed since Laura became her disciple, and now they're in a town called Sittenhelm, where Granny's first pupil lives. Granny says she wants to visit an old friend and invites Laura to come along. Thanks to her master's whims, Laura gets to go too. Laura realizes she has been so focused on not becoming a failed heroine that she forgot. This is still the world of her favorite game. She could meet her favorite characters and visit her favorite places. Maybe being reincarnated as Laura isn't so bad after all. When they arrive, Granny declares it with pride. Laura freezes, staring at the house. It looks like an ordinary home, not some special building. Still, she reminds herself, it makes sense, since it belongs to Granny's disciple. Inside, they're greeted by a stunningly beautiful elf with long hair, Mercedes Bloom. She smiles warmly at Laura, asking if she's the new disciple. Laura greets her nervously. Mercedes introduces herself and says she's heard good things about Laura. Feeling guilty, Laura regrets having dismissed her earlier as just a reused NPC. Then a boy steps forward, ignoring Laura completely. Mercedes quickly apologizes, explaining he's usually polite, though a bit older than Laura and somewhat rude. Still, his alchemy skills are excellent. His name is Arnold Rocco. Laura greets him, but he doesn't reply. She thinks Rocco sounds like a name for a small, cute animal, yet this boy looks nothing but unfriendly. Then it hits her. She remembers Elvira Rocco from The Last Brave, one of the party members and a genius magician. Elvira was one of her favorite characters, powerful yet prideful despite being the youngest. Elvira never had a brother in the game, though. But Laura recalls hearing about an abandoned character, Elvira's older brother, cut due to technical limits and budget issues. Maybe it was just an old rumor she read online, but it fits. The name, the looks, the elf heritage. Her thoughts are interrupted when Granny hands her a list of herbs and asks her to fetch them from a garden nearby. Surprised, Laura wonders, was there even a medicinal herb garden in this city? She explored every corner in the game and doesn't remember one. Still, it could be useful for her future plans. When she asks again where it is, Granny tells her to explore until she finds it. Before she can argue, Mercedes suggests Arnold guide her. Laura tries to refuse, but Arnold is already walking out. In the market, she follows him quietly, feeling awkward. They head toward the city's center, where she remembers a big fountain should stand. But when she arrives, she's stunned. There's nothing there. In the game, the fountain was the heart of the city square and key to several events. She even remembers seeing it in a flashback scene of one of the Brave's companions. There's no way she could misremember such an important scene. Back in Amur Village, everything matched her memories of the game. But ever since coming to the city, things have been different. Mercedes, Arnold, even the herb garden. She has been trying to take a different path from the last Brave, and now the world itself seems to be shifting. If these changes keep happening, how badly could they affect this world? Events aren't lining up with the game. Someone's life is drifting off course. But whose? She realizes she shouldn't rely too much on her memories of the game anymore. Arnold suddenly turns to her, asking what she's doing, then walks on. She follows, her mind racing. Could he really be related to Elvira? Could he be the older brother the developers cut from the game? If so, why does he exist here in this world that should mirror the last Brave? She wants to ask, but how could she, when they've only just met? Instead, he asks her why Miss Berta, Granny, chose her as a disciple. He says Miss Berta is known for refusing students, and until now, only 3 had ever been accepted, including his master Mercedes. Surprised, Laura asks if he was the 4th, but he admits she rejected him, even when he traveled to her remote village. Suddenly, Laura understands. That's why he'd been so cold to her. Somehow, she finds it a little cute. He sits down by the roadside and points at a plant. "Do you know this one?" he asks. She studies it closely and answers that it's a new herb discovered recently, known to boost medicine. He points to another. She explains it cures paralysis but won't heal wounds. A third herb, she says it helps with digestion but warns it can be confused with a poisonous lookalike, so it must be checked carefully. Arnold stands suddenly, muttering, "Disgusting," leaving her stunned. Should she have pretended not to know? His personality is troublesome. Still, she remembers how prideful and difficult Elvira had been early in the game. Maybe it runs in the family. He glares at her, muttering if she's forgotten why they're here. She finally realizes they've reached the herbs they were meant to collect. Kneeling down, she joins him, deciding not to upset him further. Perhaps he isn't so bad after all. She still wants to solve this mystery, though. If she can't ask him directly, maybe she can ask Mercedes. On her second day in the city, Granny asks if she wants to try compounding. It has been a year since she became a disciple, spending the whole time studying patiently without complaint. Excited, she says yes. Granny sets up the equipment, ready to test her. Laura focuses carefully. Even though she hasn't been given detailed instructions, she's studied enough to recognize the steps. It looks simple, but she knows every detail matters, and one mistake could ruin everything. When she finishes, Granny picks up the potion and casually drinks it. Laura nearly panics, but Granny just smiles, congratulating her on her first successful compounding. Arnold, watching, looks shocked. Granny then allows her to use any herbs she wants, preparing them however she likes. With a casual wave, she leaves the room. Laura thinks again how Master never really acts like a teacher. Arnold stares at her and asks if this was truly her first compounding. She answers honestly. He glares and mutters, "What the hell?" before warning her that she may be good, but he'll surpass her soon. Then he pauses and declares his goal. He wants to become a royal compounder. Surprised, Laura asks what that is. He explains it's an alchemist who works at the royal castle in the capital. She admits she didn't know, but still says it's impressive and encourages him. With quiet confidence, he replies that he will achieve it. His determination reminds her of her own goals. At that moment, Mercedes gives her a document explaining that every year, the capital holds examinations for apprentices. Anyone over 14 can take it regardless of background. If she passed, she could study as a royal apprentice, and after 2 years, take the royal compounder promotion exam. Laura realizes she'll turn 14 in 5 years, meaning she too could try. Mercedes adds that in 3 years, Arnold will take the exam, and if Laura is interested, she could come with them. Laura says she'll have to ask her parents first, but inside, she wonders why she suddenly feels afraid. She already chose to be an alchemist. Mercedes encourages her, saying her talent is remarkable. She could save more people than she imagines. She also notes this is the first time she's ever seen Arnold act this way. As his master, she wants him to work hard with her. She sees no reason to refuse, but she's very scared. She should know how the future will go, but right now she has no idea. She remembers seeing Mercedes's happy face after finishing her first compounding. She's shocked when the master says they must go back to the village tomorrow because they had planned to stay for a week. Last night, she woke from a dream about being a royal compounder. She was so confused she couldn't go back to sleep. She has also been thinking about how to ask Arnold about his relatives with the surname Rocco. She hasn't decided how to ask, and she keeps missing the right moment. If she waits too long, they will leave before she can ask. Suddenly, Mercedes suggests, "Why don't the three of us go to the herb garden?" Her eyes light up. This feels like a perfect chance. If she misses it, another one might never come. On the way to the herb garden, she asks Arnold if he will tell her about his sister. He looks at her like she's crazy. Nervous, she blurts out that she might have a sibling soon and was just curious what it's like to have one. It's a lie she made up overnight. He says flatly that he doesn't want or need to answer. Just as her hope starts to fade, Mercedes adds that Arnold has a cute little sister. Arnold quickly turns to her, protesting. Mercedes only teases him more. Laura watches quietly, thinking their bond feels warmer than she expected. Then, with a playful tilt of her head, Mercedes presses again, asking if he does have a younger sister. He answers, yes, she will be 5 years old soon. The only thing Laura remembers about Alva is that she is the youngest member of the party and looked about 12. Luca was 16 when he started as a hero. That means it's about 8 years away. 5 years old plus 8 years makes 13, so it must be her. She then asks, what is her name? He replies, Elvira Rocco. His sister really is Elvira Rocco from the game The Last Brave. So he is the Arnold who was supposed to be Alva's older brother but was removed from the game because of space limits. There was nothing about him in the game, so maybe he wasn't shown but still existed as part of Alva's backstory. She mumbles that it's a cute name and asks if they are close. He says, kind of, but Mercedes jumps in saying he is very proud of his little sister and her special talent for magic. It's the magic part that convinces her. The mystery is solved, but the few details she has don't match the story she knew. How can this be? Arnold mutters that his secret has been revealed. Mercedes laughs and says it's been a long time since she had this much fun. Laura then asks Mercedes, has this medical herb garden been here for a long time? Mercedes replies, yes, it's been here since before I was born. Laura thinks that the fountain square from the game is nowhere to be found, even though she knows The Last Brave very well. Arnold quietly tells her he hopes her sibling is born healthy. The words catch her off guard. She turns to Arnold in surprise, but he suddenly turns his back on her. Still, she sees the quick look on his face and wonders if it's because of the lie she told. Arnold isn't the type to say something like that for no reason. She feels bad for lying, but she's also happy to know that Alva has a kind older brother. She watches him with a gentle smile, thinking that from now on, he might do very well for both of them. She knows she can't change what she does or doesn't know about this world. She has no choice now but to live as Laura, the life she chose. She thinks of her parents and promises to do her best to make them proud. When she first told them about the royal compounder test, her father was the first to say he would support her dream. In her village, it was normal to follow your parents' wishes and get married. But now she realizes this is the push she needed. She will become a master alchemist. The first step is to pass the royal compounder apprentice test, just like Master Mercedes told her. She stops when she hears her name. Lucas runs up, out of breath, and asks if the rumor is true that she's leaving the village. Realizing her mother must have told him, she admits it. When he asks if she was hiding it, she blurts out, no, I just hadn't decided when to say it. Lucas says her mother told him Laura is going to leave when she turns 14, and that until then, they should stay close. But Laura explains that her mother just assumed that. To become a royal compounder, she has to pass a test. But Lucas says she's lying. She thinks, it's not a lie. She still hasn't decided yet. She wanted to talk to him about it, but asking Lucas is hard. After all, the only reason she has to leave is because of him. Then he suddenly declares that he will also go to the royal capital and join the knights. He says his power will help. Her eyes widen. This is bad. Soon, demons will attack the village. Lucas has to stay and protect it. But her thoughts crumble into one truth: how selfish she is, chasing alchemy while Lucas stays behind. If his power was ever lost, the whole world could fall apart. Suddenly, he grabs her hand and declares, if you're leaving, then I'm going too. She blurts, I don't want that. There's a pause. Then he asks, do you hate me now? You've been avoiding me since that day. Is it because of these eyes? Are you afraid of my power? She never thought that. After all, he saved her with his power. But the hero who will save the world, maybe Lucas himself is afraid of that. When she doesn't answer, he lets go and cries, so it's true, and runs off. She calls after him, but he doesn't stop. Panicking, she chases him, but her foot catches and she crashes to the ground. In an instant, he whirls back. His hand clasps hers. She didn't need to push him away. Her fingers touch his cheek, so warm, the same warmth that once protected her. This golden emblem, that's what she's afraid of. Even though it's the power that saved her, she was afraid of the shadow of the future hero. So she looked away from Lucas, who was right in front of her.